What's up guys, Gold Izzy here to bring you another video, and today I'm going to step outside the normal routine of video making and bring you something different, something new, something fresh, just all together. I got to thinking about something, and that something was snakes. Now you might be asking yourself, Gold Izzy, why are you thinking about snakes? Well, let's think about it for a minute. In wrestling, there have been a few people who have been named after snakes as far as their nicknames go. I started thinking about that, and from there, I started thinking about the different wrestling holds that have been named after snakes. And then from there, it just snowballed into various other things. So today, I'm just basically going to talk about the importance of snakes being in wrestling. And this actually, after doing my research that is, ended up being quite interesting. So let's get right to it. And nicknames, which is something I just mentioned a minute ago, is very important when it comes to snakes. Number one, you have the original Snake Man, Jake the Snake Roberts. That's him right there. And he, of course, was the original Snake Man, I believe. Now, if I'm wrong, please let me know. And please let me know in the comments below of anything that I failed to mention that is snake-related in wrestling. But Jake the Snake, to me, was the original Snake Man. Once he got to the WWF, he got that gimmick, and he went with it. And it was pretty awesome. Another nickname, you have the Texas Rattlesnake, Stone Cold Steve Austin. He was given that nickname by good old JR. And JR seemed to name him that because it fit him. He was from Texas, and he kind of seemed like a dirty old snake, so he gave him the name Texas Rattlesnake. Now we also have the Viper Randy Orton, who has the current snake nickname in wrestling. He is the Viper, and he has been the Viper now for about a year or so. And he does a pretty good job of holding true to that Viper gimmick. Also, you have Santino Marella. Now, I'm not sure if he's ever actually been called this, but I know he has this cobra thing he does with his arm. Very amusing to say the least, but the Cobra Santino Marella. I don't think they've ever called him that, but I was looking on the internet, and you know how true the internet is, guys, so it has to be right. Now, also, another wrestler, a female wrestler. Now, a lot of you newer wrestling fans might not remember her, but Medusa, aka Alundra Blaze. Well, in WCW, she was known as Medusa, and she was Ravishing Rick Rude's main squeeze. Now, if you guys know your Greek mythology, you will know that Medusa is the beautiful woman who has snakes coming out of her head, like hair, like locks of hair, but they were all different kinds of snakes, just oozing out of her head. Very, very cool to say the least. There's a picture of one right there. So, yeah, Medusa. Now, wrestling holds. Wrestling holds and snakes go hand in hand. You have the Cobra Clutch, which was made famous by Sergeant Slaughter. Sergeant Slaughter, who was in G.I. Joe. And G.I. Joe was always fighting for freedom wherever there's trouble. And usually trouble came from Cobra, their enemies. So you had Sergeant Slaughter putting all of his opponents in the Cobra Clutch, making them tap out. Now the Cobra Clutch is also known as the $1 Million Drain. Ted DiBiase also had his version of it, and they're basically the same move. Also, we have the Anaconda Vice, which is made famous by CM Punk, and that's his submission maneuver. And then we have the Snake Eyes, which, if you guys can recall back in the day, at least for me that is, back in the early 90s of WCW, there was this wrestler called Vinny Vegas. That's him right there. Now, look at him real close, guys. You see him? Now, who does he remind you of? That's right. That is Kevin Nash. He was also Diesel. He was also Oz. He was various other wrestlers as well. But he had the finisher called the Snake Eyes. Now, The Undertaker uses this move as well. And what it is basically you get your opponent pretty much knocked unconscious. You get him up on your shoulder, stomach down on the shoulder, with their head shooting out this way. You're both looking the same way. You walk over to any top turnbuckle, and then you just drop them. And there you go, and they go face first into the turnbuckle. Now, back in the day, that was a pretty devastating move. So Vinny Vegas got a lot of wins using that finisher. And let's see. Now, probably the most important wrestling figure in wrestling history, Hulk Hogan, seemed it fit to name his biceps after a snake. That's right. We all remember the 24-inch pythons. Okay, you can stop laughing. I know my pythons aren't that big. But this guy right here, Hulk Hogan, had some big ones. And he seemed to fit to name his muscles after a python, which worked for him. Python in the snake world is a pretty big snake, so it kind of went hand in hand. Biceps and pythons. Now, snakes and props in wrestling. Now, Jake the Snake Roberts had Damien, which was his real-life pet snake. And he would carry Damien to the ring for every match. He would always be in the brown bag. He would carry it to the ring like Santa Claus. He would put it in the corner. And every so often, he would take that snake out and drop him on his opponent. If you guys could think back to the Andre the Giant and Jake the Snake Roberts feud, you will remember how awesome that was. Andre the Giant hated snakes. I mean, hated them. And it made for a very, very entertaining little feud. Now, also another prop. Stone Cold Steve Austin had the Smoking Skull Championship belt. Now, you're probably wondering now, what does that belt have to do with snakes? Well, if you look closely at the belt, which is right there, you'll see that there are rattlesnakes on the belt. I know, kind of vague to say the least, but they're there. And yeah, I didn't know that at first until I was looking it up, and well, there are snakes, rattlesnakes that is, on the belt. I thought that was pretty cool. Now, Jake the Snake Roberts also had a little segment that he did every once in a while called the Snake Pit. So, when Jake the Snake Roberts went to the WWF, Vince McMahon went all out with his snake gimmick. They gave him the look, the wrestling tights that had the snake prints all over them. He wore the snake skin boots. He had the greasy, slick, long hair that kind of resembled snake skin because it was so slimy and greasy. And he had the Snake Pit, which was like his wrestling talk show. It was very memorable. He had a lot of great memories with that. I remember The Ultimate Warrior was on there. Hulk Hogan's been on there. Look them up on YouTube. They're very enjoyable. And if you have the Jake the Snake DVD, a lot of them are on there as well. So clothing and snakes go hand in hand. So there you have it. There are my list. Or there is my list, I should say. God, my grammar's horrible. But anyways, that's my list of snakes and the important role they played in professional wrestling. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know I enjoyed making it. I thought it was very cool to find out just how important snakes were in wrestling. And there you have it. And like I said at the beginning of the video, if I failed to mention anything, I know I don't follow all the indie promotions or anything like that, so there very well could be other wrestlers that are snake related. And if they are, please let me know. But that's it for now. And this is Gold Izzy. Peace out.